she's the one that's interjected politics into it. And, it's just so apparent that she has nothing but empty words. She's a political opportunist, and I think it's starting to take hold now on the American public. Despite all the propaganda, we know that she is just, there's no substance there. And, as you said, Jake, if she's elected, it's over for this country.
Well, Bob, two people in my community put Harris signs up on their lawn just within the last couple of days, which, of course, is their right. They can vote and support whomever they want. But you just wonder, why are they supporting her? Is it to live in the United Socialist States of America? Is it you hate Trump so much that you don't want to live better in this country? Well, you are going to deny that you were living better 4 years ago? I just don't get it. But then again, they have their own reasons.
Well, look, this is substance versus pure nothingness from Kamala. President Trump delivered supplies to North Carolina, to Georgia. He brought Starlink in. Governor DeSantis,
Bob, you're forgetting something really important. He got power utility companies together to stand by when Milton was about to hit in Florida. I mean, that's what he does. He's ahead of business. He knows how to do these things. She doesn't. She's telling the mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida, "Oh, you bring such joy to your people." You know what? If you're standing on your roof hoping that somebody's going to pluck you off with a helicopter, how much joy are you feeling then, Bob?
Oh, look! It's the difference between, again, empty words that are used to just distort the truth, and what we get from President Trump. As crazy as he drives some of us, what we get is a genuineness, and
someone who knows how to get the job done, Bob. Someone who knows how to get the job done. It's as simple as that. I mean, Trump knows how to do it. She doesn't. She's an imbecile. Nancy doesn't like the fact that I call her an imbecile. She's an imbecile. I'm sorry. And you know what? She's still sleeping her way to the top. That's exactly what she's doing. She's using the same tactics that she used with Willie Brown on the American people.
Yep. Well, everything she and Joe Biden touch turns to, I won't say the word, but it begins with an S.
Okay.
And everything. And Donald Trump, we sat with Donald Trump's, his brother's business partner in 2016 before a rally. And Donald Trump, his father said, Fred Trump said, everything Donald touches turns to gold. Well, in many ways, that's very, very true. What he did for this country, his record is all we need to know. What he did for this country.
Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? If you think that you are better off today because of what the Biden-Harris regime has done to you, then there's nothing we can say. Then go ahead, vote your conscience. Bob, thank you so much. We appreciate you calling in on the Meineke Doing Car Care Right talk lines. Let's check in now with Father John. Good morning.
Good morning, Jake. How are you today?
All right, Father. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you, Pamela is out there offering opinions instead of facts. We know that. But she's also hoping that her opinions become facts so that she looks so good, but she isn't. We're kidding ourselves with everything that's going on because we have to stand up and vote. The moralists that will back up what is right for this country, the better off we're going to be. The ones that go after, we're going to give you off on your scholarships. We're going to give you this. So I'm going to give you $750. All of this stuff is those people. We don't need them. We need the people who are going to work to make this country great again.
Well, Father, remember what I said yesterday about the American spirit. It's the American spirit, I believe, that is going to sweep President Trump back into the White House in 24 days. That's what I believe. All right, let's go to, I know Father John wanted to say God bless America, but Father, I got to move along, but I said it for you. All right, I was going to punch up that call. Call's not there. Joan in Milford. Joan, I just want you to know yesterday received a call from a friend in Kentucky who listens to this show, and they called me and they said, I'll be quick. And I said, you'll be quick? Yes. I hear Joan say that all the time, so they said, I'll be quick. So even people in Kentucky know. Yes.
I want to get everything in, or I try to get it in.
So go ahead.
Okay. I have a new nickname for Miss Camilla, the Whore of Babylon.
Oh.
And that filthy podcast of hers, and that display in Paris where Jill attended, and the White House Easter time, that was another display, and they're going to try to get rid of Christmas. And Ron DeSantis, he said it all. I don't even have to repeat what he said. I love that man. That man is right where he needs to be. And if Donald Trump doesn't get in, if he could get in as the next president, I would vote for him too.
Okay. Glad to hear that.
And I know one more thing. Can I get it in?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The weaponization of the weather. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, take that tinfoil hat off. But there are a lot of people saying it could be. A lot of people saying no, but how come it hits the red states? Why did Hurricane Sandy make a left-hand turn, Jake? And on and on and on. And the Biden quote that my husband, he's driving me crazy. Biden admitted that they can control the weather. Do you have a tape of him saying that?
I have a cut someplace, Joan, and honestly, I don't have the time to find it now, but there's more and more of these conspiracy theories about controlling weather. People sent them to me this week. I can't...
I know it's hard. I understand that, Jake, but, you know...
I mean, that is the ultimate conspiracy theory.
Excuse my language is going on.
Well, Joan, and the premise is that the areas affected by Hurricane Helene and the flooding affected Republican areas. There's no way that could have happened unless there was something done to the weather. I can't... I don't want to comment on it because it's too controversial without... any evidence. All right, I can give you, Kathy, about 30 seconds. Go ahead, please. Are you there? Sorry, go ahead.
Everything that the Floribella said is perfect. Bob, Trump never drives me crazy. Obama trying to get the black men in there makes me sick.
All right, Kathy, thank you so much. We appreciate you calling in on Your News Talk America. The digital interactive part of our Friday broadcast begins in just a little while. We are going to be talking energy and climate change in the first segment. We've got some great panelists ready to go today. And remember, sign on to realnewstalk.com. Realnewstalk.com. The lounge is ready. The community chat is open. And it's time to get involved.
WGMD, Rehoboth Beach, Ocean City, and WUSX, Seaford, Salisbury. News, talk, and sports.
It's another day, picking up the pieces from Hurricane Milton. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We're going to come back. We're not going to play the victim and lay down.
Bradenton Beach Mayor John Chappie dealing with cleanup from 2 hurricanes in 2 weeks in Florida, but he tells Fox.
So much to be grateful for. No deaths. My neighbors hopefully will come back and rebuild on these homes that have been totally destroyed.
Some of Milton's damage also from tornadoes Wednesday.
As soon as the windows exploded, I grabbed the 2 dogs that I had with me, and then I ran into the bedroom. I threw them under the bed.
And Connor Farron tells Fox he didn't find his cat till yesterday. Alive, luckily. But his house in Fort Myers is a loss.
It's got 1 bedroom left. The parts that still are remaining standing, like the ceiling that still is there, is beginning to collapse.
Milton's blamed for at least 17 deaths. There are still almost 2.5 million power outages. The UN caught the crossfire again in Lebanon. An Israeli strike near the headquarters of its peacekeeping forces injured 2 more members. Other Israeli strikes in Beirut killed at least 22 people. Hezbollah fire into Israel killed a farmer. And as war rages there, something dating back to the end of World War II.
A Japanese grassroots organization of survivors of the U.S. atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki has won the Nobel Peace Prize. Nihon Hidankyo is known for its activism against nuclear weapons. About 114,000 survivors of the bombings are still alive.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Trump supporters already lining up in Aurora, Colorado for the former president's rally later today, highlighting problems a Venezuelan gang of migrants caused there. Fox's Aisha Hosni reports.
Democratic Governor Jared Polis also is trying to get ahead of this visit here, writing the former president will find, quote, an incredible city with 2 straight years of rapidly declining crime. Here's the thing, though. Aurora police reports an increase of crime in that specific area, those apartment complexes.
There'll also be a Trump rally in Reno, Nevada. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're looking for a firearm, I just love and recommend highly Henry Repeating Arms. They make 200 models of rifles, shotguns, revolvers, and a wide variety of calibers and finishes. Plus, they have new releases all throughout the year. The best way to learn about Henry Firearms is to get their free catalog and check it out online or at home. Plus, you're going to get 2 free decals and a list of dealers where you live and a great newsletter. Go to henryusa.com, click on their free catalog button. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Henry uses old world craftsmanship combined with cutting-edge technology to deliver reliability and accuracy that everybody can trust. They're easy to use and maintain. It makes them an excellent choice for personal and property defense, for hunting, for shooting sports, and for beginners. All made in America, or they won't be made at all. Remember, to order their free catalog, get free decals, henryusa, oneword.com. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog and decals and a list of dealers where you are. You're going to...
The station Delaware and Maryland turns to for local news. Here is another Delmarva news update here on 92.7 WGMD, WGMD.com, and the WGMD app.
Good morning. I'm Jerry Lademan in the Talk of Delmarva newsroom. 3 people have been arrested on felony drug charges in Magnolia. The arrest came after officers with the Kent County Governor's Task Force and the Delaware State Police Special Operations Response Team served a warrant at a home on NASCAR Lane. They'd been investigating that location after getting reports of drug dealing going on there. The search found large quantities of crack cocaine, heroin, cocaine, psilocybin mushrooms, oxycodone, drug paraphernalia, and over $1,000 in suspected drug proceeds. The 3 suspects are each facing a long list of felony charges, including multiple felonies. The 2 men and 1 woman remain in jail on bond. Delaware Attorney General Kathy Jennings has announced a big settlement against a major hotel chain for a data breach. Jennings says Delaware and all 49 states have agreed to the settlement with Marriott International as a result of a multi-year data breach at one of its guest reservations databases. Under the deal, Marriott has agreed to strengthen its data security practices and make a $52 million payment to the states. Delaware will get nearly $400,000 out of the settlement. The data breach of the Starwood Guest Reservation database occurred between 2014 and 2018. It impacted more than 131.5 million hotel guests. Delaware State Police trying to identify a person they say was involved in a burglary earlier this year at the Delaware State Fairgrounds. Detectives at Troop 3 say the suspect broke into a vendor's trailer, stole an undisclosed amount of money back on July 23rd, then fled in a silver Chevrolet. You can report anything you know anonymously to the state police or Crime Stoppers.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Looks like a nice Friday ahead with plenty of sunshine in the high 68. Clear tonight, low 49 inland, 54 at the beach. Saturday, sunny much of the time, pleasant, breezy in the afternoon. A really nice start to the weekend with the high 77. More on these and other stories, you can visit talkofdelmarva.com.
Dive into a sea of flavor at the Surfing Crab Restaurant, where they've proudly served the best steamed crabs on Delmarva for 2 decades. Open Wednesday through Friday at 3 p.m., 12 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Indulgent crabs by the dozen. Or order an all-you-can-eat feast, including hush puppies, French fries, and homemade coleslaw. Located on Route 1 Lewes. Call for pricing and availability and to pre-order crabs before they sell out. 302-644-4448. The Surfing Crab, where every day is a celebration.
Listen up, Delmarva anglers. The Talk Delmarva Fishing Report.
Brought to you by Complete Tree Care, licensed and insured. Request an estimate at CompleteTreeCareDE.com.
It's time for the Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report with Eric Burnley.
Thursday was another day with small craft advisories up on the ocean, and once again, no boats left Indian River Marina or Lewes Harbor Marina. I don't know how the Army Corps of Engineers found out I was planning to meet a good friend and fish the south side of Indian River Inlet on Thursday, but they did, and they closed access to that area as well as the north side. According to Old Inlet Bait and Tackle, the closure is supposed to be temporary, whatever that means in Corps speak. Old Inlet did get reports from some anglers who were able to access the inlet by walking on the rocks. They caught tog and sheep's head on sandfleas and green crab. There were some blues taken on white bucktails with a white worm. Other fishermen worked the sidewalk west of the bridge for the same results. This is Eric Burnley with your Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report.
Broadcasting from the Montague Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Operation Halo is made up of veterans flying relief supplies and rescuing those trapped in places like Asheville, North Carolina. They are doing things that FEMA is not capable of doing. Another veteran-led NGO is Gray Bull Rescue. Special Forces veterans make up a team of elite special operations experts who began their work during the failed U.S. evacuation of Afghanistan, successfully rescuing countless Americans and their allies. Since then, more than 7,000 men, women, children, and babies, even beloved pets, have been rescued by Gray Bull Rescue. And what about Samaritan's Purse? Why do we need federal emergency management when Franklin Graham's organization can respond in a manner which has America rethinking how we fund and plan for emergencies?
Good morning, America. Welcome to your News Talk America. Your anchorman, Jake Smith, with you until noon Eastern Time. The audio you just heard was from my monologue, yesterday's program, talking about FEMA and do we need to rethink government emergency response. We've got this massive federal government agency called FEMA, and it comes under the auspices of Alejandro Mayorkas, who, when during the worst possible time during Hurricane Helene last week, he was spotted shopping in a mall for elite underwear. Dan Bongino talked about it yesterday on his program. Disgusting. However, when we take a look and see what these non-government organizations, these NGOs, many of them put together by former U.S. veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, helicopter pilots doing and flying rescue missions to save their fellow Americans. And when you see the interference that the federal government itself is running and trying to discourage NGOs getting involved in the federal emergency response, and you see what organizations like Samaritan's Purse, Franklin Graham's organization, what they're able to do. You know, if you want to just go back to Afghanistan and take a look at how veterans, but they were civilians, helicopters were flying people out of Afghanistan when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris left them there, left American citizens, left those who supported America for 20 plus years in Afghanistan, the mission in Afghanistan. It is time, I believe, to rethink our mission with respect to federal emergency management. And what does that mean? It means that FEMA has outlived its usefulness. And yesterday on the program, Judge Andrew Napolitano talked about the fact that the entire FEMA template that we have today was structured after Hurricane Katrina by politicians to save politicians from having to deal with the media and the media pushback for problems with regard to emergency response. And what we have today is this mammoth government agency, like every other agency is a mammoth government agency. And we've seen just in the last 2 weeks that, FEMA just doesn't get it done anymore. It's time to decentralize emergency response. And we can do it much better with organizations like Samaritan's Purse. We can do it much better with American citizens who are flying helicopters and moving supplies in and out than we can with government bureaucrats who really don't know what they're doing and have proven that they cannot respond properly to emergencies. Now, the Biden-Harris regime is telling the American people that FEMA is out of money. Well, Congress has given them more money, but we know that some of that money was given to illegals. Karine Jean-Pierre admitted that 2 years ago, and then just a few days ago, pushed back at Peter Doocy when asked about how could we be sending money to Lebanon that does not need congressional approval, but when it comes to getting money for FEMA to help American citizens, it needs congressional approval. I mean, my friends, it tells you that something needs to change. Now, we're waiting for our panelists to join us. Still no panelists joining us, so what we're going to do is we will take a brief respite. And those of you who have the opportunity can right now sign on to realnewstalk.com, realnewstalk.com. And hopefully we'll have our panelists ready to go in just a couple of moments here on your News Talk America, 92.7 and 98.5. Stay with us.
This weather report is served to you from Ra's Restaurant, voted the best of Delaware for Indian cuisine downstate. View more at roslewis.com.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 69. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 49. Daytime highs approaching 77 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Bright sunshine expected Sunday. Daytime highs approaching 79. 72 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Right now, 54.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Did you know every 3 seconds someone is a victim of identity theft? LifeLock wants to give you helpful tips to protect your identity this Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Adding multi-factor authentication, like a text with a security code, is one way to boost your security. But for comprehensive protection, trust LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal info and steps in to resolve issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Protect yourself with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Based on hundreds of 5-star reviews, Gun Shooter Enterprises is proud to be rated by Delaware locals as their favorite gun shop. When you walk through the door at Gun Shooter Enterprises in Millsboro, you'll be met with a knowledgeable staff and respect. Customers love the transparent pricing of new and used inventory, the in-house experienced repair team, and the firearms training classes. Visit them in downtown Millsboro with plenty of free public parking at gunshooter.com or call 302-663-0838.
Enjoy another week of fun-filled events in Worcester County, including Harbor Day at the Docks this Saturday, October the 12th. Hi there, it's Mike Bradley on behalf of the Office of Worcester County Tourism. Celebrate Worcester's maritime heritage and culture. The free event taking place from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday at the West Ocean City Commercial Fishing Harbor. Live music by record label artist Jimmy Charles, kids activities, artists and vendors, and more. Also taking place this Saturday, the Pocomoke Fall Festival. For more information, go to visitmarylandscoast.org.
Tune in every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for Dan the Medicare Man. Each week, I will be explaining and answering all Medicare questions. This Saturday at 7:30 a.m.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD.
Attention Talk of Delmarva listeners. A WGMD app has been updated and is ready for you to download. Simply visit the Apple Store or Google Play and search WGMD and download the file to update your smart device. The updated app will allow you to listen to 92.7 or 98.5 through your smart device, the streaming audio. Another service from the many platforms of the Talk of Delmarva.
The Talk of Delmarva Fishing Report after the 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 4 p.m. news and sports.
Broadcasting from the Panelists Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Not sure why we don't have our guests. They both confirmed, and that's one of the hazards that I have to deal with. I don't have a producer. I am the producer, so I send out the invitations. I get the confirmations. I send out the Zoom link information, and the fact is that when people confirm, yeah, I'll be there. That's you expect them to be there, and then when they're not, well, then you've got to handle things a different way. However. Behind me, and it's being discussed on the chat room right now, Colonel Michelle Williams is in the community chat, and behind me is a new background, and thank you to Snerdley. The United States Constitution is the new background for me, and Colonel Williams' famous words that she always repeats, "We the people," are right behind me here on your News Talk America on the big screen. That's right behind my head. Now, Bob and Lewes put up a great question. I don't have the panelists here; they just haven't signed on, Bob. So I'm going to read your question. If we could get that question punched up, the first one with regard to the NGOs and FEMA's response. Thank you. All right, now, Bob, we've seen the evidence just in the last 2 weeks of how valuable these non-government organizations are. They don't. The ones that are flying using helicopters and flying in response and so forth, they run strictly. They operate strictly on donations. They're not taking any money from the great Satan in Washington. And I believe Samaritan's Purse is the same. But you bring up a good issue. What happens if we do away with FEMA and we then take a pot of money, give it to the FEMA cuts up the federal government cuts up this money and gives it to NGOs, and they are then expected to fill in the blanks where the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA has failed. I believe that FEMA as an agency and the Department of Homeland Security have to be eliminated. They've just outlived their usefulness. They're too big and powerful, and they are not doing what is intended. When you have illegals getting on commercial aircraft without any sort of identification, why do we have a Department of Homeland Security in the first place? Why are we giving them money? Why is Alejandro Mayorkas making so much money that he can go to a mall and buy expensive Tommy John underwear for himself, right? So here's what has to happen, Bob, and I believe the only way to do this is through what Ronald Reagan called the new federalism. You give the money to local governments to plan for their own emergencies, and then they work with the NGOs. That's what's got to happen. You can't allow the federal government to control any of these NGOs. It's just, you're right. I mean, it's a very dangerous road. When you take money from the great Satan in Washington, what typically happens? You come under the control of the great Satan in Washington. So, Bob, it's a great question that you posed. So really the only thing, I believe, the only way to restructure emergency management is just to give the money to local governments who know what they need and they know how to plan for their own areas. What the hell does somebody in Washington know how to plan for a community in Delaware or in Salisbury, Maryland, or in Dover, New Hampshire? They don't. And that's why this whole federal government control umbrella is part of draining the swamp. And as I mentioned earlier this week, if you're going to drain the swamp, you need the pumps. We're the pumps. You and I, we are the pumps. If we don't keep ourselves keyed in, President Trump, if elected and sent back to the White House, he's never going to be able to drain the swamp because he needs us. We are the people. We are the ones that are going to have to drain the swamp. It is our support. It is going to be our votes. It is going to be our picking where we need to target our response. When the Demcom starts saying, no, we are not going to cut the size of government, and we're going to say, oh, yes, you will. Because until such time, we're going to have truckers striking in certain areas in blue states who won't cooperate with the mass deportation of illegals. Those are the kinds of targeted actions which we need to consider. Because if we don't, the Demcoms are going to win. Now, in the chat room, Bob says, Jake, I respectfully disagree with you about federal funding for NGOs. He says that's what Demcoms do when they give money to NGOs and private companies to buy their own votes. No federal funding for NGOs. We, the people, should be funding the NGOs. Bob, I said that. I don't want federal funding for NGOs. I want federal emergency funding to be sent to local governments for them to make the decision. I mean, here in Delaware, we have a very good state emergency management agency. We also have local emergency management agencies as well. Why shouldn't they just get the money directly? Why do we need someone in Washington to tell us how the money should be directed and spent? Again, it is just it's just Washington throwing money at a problem so that they can say, oh, look what I did. Look what we did. Now, do you think that Kamala the commie, who's trying to build some type of an image that she's a problem solver, why should she even be able to do that? Why should Ron DeSantis have to take anything from the federal government? Ron DeSantis knows what Florida needs during hurricane season. Why should he then get the money from Washington, go out and buy and store in warehouses those things that he needs? Why are we using military aircraft to fly emergency supplies around the country when those supplies should be readily available locally? That's what I'm trying to say. Bob says he messed up. His apology. Okay, Bob, well, I messed up this morning and you messed up this morning, so we're even. Okay. So, again, this whole scheme of emergency management, which is really designed, is it designed to help Americans? No, it's designed to keep the pressure on the media off the politicians' backs. I mean, Trump did a fabulous job, I thought, was back in 2019 in Puerto Rico. And even though he did, the Demcoms blamed him for an inadequate hurricane response. The same, by the way, maggots and Marxist state media who have not really said anything about the response to Hurricane Helene. I mean, that's just it. But the fact that FEMA is under the Department of Homeland Security, this louse, Mayorkas, and Kamala the commie, she doesn't care. The fact of the matter is, my friends, that, it's we've got to rethink our approach to emergency management. Now, we don't have a lot of time left. Our panelist a little bit late, and I'm glad that he's one of two panelists who have logged on, and I want to welcome him. Let me make sure I've got this bio here. Judd Saul is with us. Judd, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Judd is a film producer, director, and a missionary who spent time in Africa. And I think it's interesting to note, Judd, that you've dealt with and seen the type of response that NGOs, these organizations that provide emergency relief, whether it's food, water, medicine, to places that really need it in Africa. And here we are, this great big bureaucratic mess called FEMA, and we can't get the job done when it needs to be done. What are your thoughts? How do you compare what you've seen in the time that you spent as a missionary in Africa and what the federal government tries to do here domestically and can't get it done?
The word that comes to mind is waste.
Okay.
Lots and lots of waste. Waste of time and waste of our taxpayer dollars. And what happens a lot of the time, especially what I've seen in Africa with NGOs in the U.S.,
right,
is maybe 20% of the resources spent actually get to the people that need it, and 80% goes to waste.
80% goes to waste. Now, is that because it's the federal bureaucracy, Judd, that is that the whole template of what we have here is so wasteful? Because you look at what Samaritan's Purse has been able to do in places like Asheville, North Carolina. Why isn't that our approach? Why aren't we paying for organizations like Samaritan's Purse to do or to provide what needs to be provided to Americans in emergency situations?
You know, that's the $1 million question. Why are we getting resources to the organizations and people that actually get the job done and get it to those that need it most? And all I can say is our government likes bureaucracy. They like to keep adding jobs and do things to try to justify their positions. And with very little leadership, with very little motivation, it's just really disappointing. It's disappointing to watch all the waste go on.
And there's been a lot of that waste. Unfortunately, we've seen it from FEMA. Tell us a little bit about how it works in places like, I believe you were in Nigeria. You were a missionary, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain how getting emergency supplies into places like Nigeria works? Because I know that where I go to Mass, our bishop and his priests and seminarians are frequently, they have parishes that they've set up in Nigeria and so forth. It's a dangerous place. But tell us about what the difference between Asheville, North Carolina, and Nigeria in getting emergency supplies, Judd, where they're needed.
Well, this is what happens. So in a government situation, a government will work with another government. The government does not actually get to the people. So what happens is our government will give another government the supplies. But what happens is these government officials will take what's given to them and siphon off, like I said, 80% for themselves, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether you name it, whether it's medical supplies. And they'll take it and they'll go sell it on the black market. And maybe 20% will get to those that need it, and they'll do a dog and pony show and take pictures and say, "Oh, look what a great job we did." But it's all waste. Now, when you have religious organizations that are actually on the ground, they're actually dealing with the people, they know the people, then you see those resources get to where it needs most. Now, with Asheville, North Carolina, how much are we spending on all these government officials to sit around and they work 8 to 5, and after they're done working 8 to 5, then they go back home? But we have volunteers with Samaritan's Purse. We have volunteers with other religious-based organizations that are doing this out of the love of their heart to help their fellow man. It's not just a job to them.
So, Judd, would you agree then, and Judd T. Saul is joining us, film producer, director, and missionary. Judd Saul is the executive director of Equipping the Persecuted, a mission that is focused on helping persecuted Christians in Nigeria. And believe me, my friends, the situation in Nigeria is dire for Christians right now. Judd, we'll have you back on the program to talk about that persecution. But is it time, do you think, if President Trump does return to the White House in January, that we need to rethink federal emergency management? I mean, it just makes me angry that Mayorkas was shopping at a mall when the dead people in Asheville, North Carolina, were wrapped around tree branches, for crying out loud. Kamala is raising money out in California. She's drinking beers with Stephen Colbert. I mean, is it time to rethink federal emergency management and focus it at the local level. I'll give you the last word, sir.
I think we need a full overhaul on how we look at emergency situations. And money is always best spent locally on local resources, people that actually are from the communities, from the area, that that actually have that actually care and know more about what's going on in those areas. FEMA, I think, would be in a better position had they not dedicated all their training and initiatives to DEI. I think this has been one of the biggest flops in all our government agencies.
Interesting.
Instead of focusing on the problem, they're focused on DEI instead of doing the job.
And people die when they don't do their job. That's what it comes down to.
People die. DEI, just flip the letters around. It's die.
Boy, that's a great point, Judd. That's a great point. Judd, thank you so much. I wish we could have had you on a little bit longer, but we will get you back. Great guest. Thank you so much for joining our panel this morning. Judd Teasall, thank you, sir. Before you go, I know that some of our listening family, especially those that are part of the chat community, they're going to probably want to look into the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. How can they investigate further on that before I let you go?
They can go to our website, equippingthepersecuted.org. That's equippingthepersecuted.org. Thank you.
Judd, thank you very much. God bless you for coming on. We'll talk to you very soon. You're listening to Your News Talk America. We're going to be talking energy and the climate hoax coming up next. Stay with us.
The marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center. Sunny for today with highs heading into the upper 60s. And on the water, north-northwest winds 5 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. The current water temperature is 64 degrees. At Cambridge, high tides at 10:34 a.m., low tide 5:08 p.m., high tide again at 11:33 p.m., and at Rehoboth Beach, low tide 8:15 a.m., high tide 2:57 p.m., and low tide again at 9:24 p.m.
Hi, this is the Rehoboth Foodie. Join me on Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4 on WGMD 92.7, the talk, or rather, the food of Delmarva.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks open mixed, though the Dow rallied in early trading to record territory. There are more signs of inflation cooling. The producer price index for September was flat, but the report is not all positive. The annual reading rose to 1.8%, and the core reading for the year, excluding food and energy, rose to 2.8%. JP Morgan Chase shares are up more than 3%. The big bank is holding up even though the Fed cut interest rates. Wells Fargo shares up 5%. Its quarter was mixed, but like Chase, its earnings top forecast. Tesla shares are down 9% after its cyber taxi reveal. Ride companies are getting a boost because the launch of the fleet is not imminent. Uber shares are up 7%. Lyft is up 5%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jen Fusola. Invested in you.
Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. I never thought I'd see price fixing as a campaign promise. What's next? Is your 401k or IRA on the left's to-do list? This is why you need to act now and protect your nest egg. I believe gold is the answer. To find out more, get a free info kit from Birch Gold by texting the word SHELTER to the number 989898. Act now to secure your financial future. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold. Paid for by
Care Center Studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
About 30, we need to have a realization that we've got about 35 years worth of oil left in the whole world. We're going to run out of oil. When Mr. Nixon made his famous speech on Operation Independence, we were importing about 35% of our oil. Now we've increased that amount 25%. We now import about 44% of our oil. We need to shift from oil to coal. We need to concentrate our research and development effort on coal burning and extraction that's safe for miners, that also is clean burning. We need to shift very strongly toward solar energy and have strict conservation measures. And then as a last resort only, continue to use atomic power. I would certainly not cut out atomic power altogether. We can't afford to give up that opportunity until later.
My friends, that speech by Jimmy Carter in April of 1977, he predicted that we would run out of oil by 2011. I point that out because it's now 2024, isn't it? And we haven't run out of oil yet. Not unless, of course, Kamala Harris is elected, and then we may just run out of oil. However, I want to welcome in our next panelist, and he is joining us. I don't know where Daniel Turner is. Daniel should be joining us. He's not, but Frank Lassie is joining us. Frank is the author of Climate and Energy Lies. Do not, expensive, dangerous, and destructive. Yes, they are. Those lies are doing a lot of damage around the world. Do not fear climate change, fear climate policy. Frank, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast this morning, because there was an interesting report this week that a shadow climate government agency exists, headed by John Kerry. Now, after 8 months of litigation with the United States Department of State, Daniel Turner and his organization, Power of the Future, is suing the Department of Justice over their systemic cover-up of the secret office of the Special Presidential Envoy for Climate for years. His organization has filed Freedom of Information requests seeking basic information about this taxpayer-funded shadow government agency. Well, guess what? The DOJ says they're not going to release any information until after the election. Is this more climate cover-up as far as you're concerned, Frank?
Oh, it absolutely is. It's what this government, Biden's government, the Harris government, is doing on climate is atrocious. They've taken an all-of-government approach. It's on their website. They are using every government agency, injecting trillions of dollars into this effort over the last 3.5 years, and would do even more under Kamala Harris. She's an extreme lefty on this. She supported the Green New Deal. She was an author of it. And she provided the tie-breaking vote for the Orwellian-named Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA. It should be the Inflation Increase Act.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, John Kerry had a special office, probably still does, but they're injecting this in every part of our government. They're over-regulating for the climate, and it's very, very expensive. If people knew how expensive it was, the whole country.
No question about it. Frank, you have called this global climate hoax well-funded propaganda, commonly called climate alarmism. It's founded on lies. If we do not fight back harder against this hoax, tell us what's at stake for the nation and for Americans and their livelihood in the future.
Well, what's at stake is that we will lose the good lives we enjoy and the ability to prosper. They actually now there's a university that has a master's program in degrowth. They're talking about degrowth. In the real world, that's called recession and depression. And that's what they want to give us. They want us to all have less, and less means less and less and less and less. Not brighter futures, but darker futures, literally darker futures. They are working to make our food and energy costs far more expensive. And their ultimate goal is to regulate all of us and give individual CO2. They call it carbon, but calling CO2 carbon is like calling water hydrogen. It's just good marketing. It sounds nice, but they aren't the same thing at all. But they want to give us CO2 rations so that they can control virtually everything we do. And wealthy people will just purchase their way out of it and continue flying on their jets, living the high carbon lifestyle. And us regular people will suffer, and they will ratchet it down and ratchet it down. I just saw a story today, and that humans are contributing just by our breath, because we all exhale CO2, about 2 pounds of it a day, that the 8 billion people on Earth are contributing 3 billion tons to CO2 in the atmosphere. Now, CO2 is plant food.
That's right. Yes.
But they're after the very breath of us. And everything we do, consume, even listening to this, watching Netflix, uses energy and releases CO2. And so more CO2 is good, not bad. Those are all based, all these lies are designed for the ultimate control agenda.
No question about it. That's what it's all about. It's about controlling the masses. This climate hoax stuff started back in the 1990s in Europe. I saw it going on, and I knew at some point that the Democrat communists would try to use this climate hoax here to control us, to change the narrative, to change the focus of the American people. They have successfully done that. Frank Lassie is joining us, author of Climate and Energy Lies, Expensive, Dangerous, and Destructive. Frank says, do not fear climate change. What we should fear is climate policy. Frank, we need to take a break on Your News Talk America. Please stay with us. I've got some questions from our producers online, and we'll get to those questions in just a moment. Please stay with us.
This weather report is covered by Bell House Medical. Prevent a fall this fall. Call now to have grab bars installed in your bathroom. 302-644-4404.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 69. Northwest winds 5 to 8. Lows dip down to about 49. Daytime highs approaching 77 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Bright sunshine expected Sunday. Daytime highs approaching 79. 72 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Right now, 57.
Imagine a world where animals and humans coexist in harmony, where wild animals thrive, habitats are protected, and marginalized communities are empowered. At International Animal Rescue, this is our vision. Our holistic, community-led projects not only rescue animals, but also protect and replenish precious habitats, creating a better future for us all. But we can't do this without you. Show your support now and help keep the wild, wild. Visit internationalanimalrescue.org.
Do you know a veteran in need? Nation's Finest, through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, helps veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada, helping thousands of veterans every year. Visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
Based on hundreds of five-star reviews, Gun Shooter Enterprises is proud to be rated by Delaware locals as their favorite gun shop. When you walk through the door at Gun Shooter Enterprises in Millsboro, you'll be met with a knowledgeable staff and respect. Customers love the transparent pricing of new and used inventory, the in-house experienced repair team, and the firearms training classes. Visit them in downtown Millsboro with plenty of free public parking at gunshooter.com or call 302-663-0838.
The Paranormal Piranha is swimming into town for the annual Sea Witch Festival, October 25th through 27th. Popular activities include costume parade, indoor and outdoor vendor shows, kids games, live entertainment, costumes dog parade, and tons more. Don't miss live entertainment in the Rehoboth Beach Convention Center. Visit beach-fun.com for a full schedule of activities or call the Rehoboth Beach Dewey Beach Chamber of Commerce at 302-227-6446.
Fire, home invasion, children with a loaded gun. Sometimes the unexpected happens. Lock up your guns and ammo with a Made in America Rhino safe. Southern States Milford is having our annual safe sale on Thursday, October 31st through Saturday, November 2nd. Come see our huge selection of Rhino safes with the best prices of the year. Delivery is available. Have peace of mind when your valuables are secured. Visit us at Southern States Milford, 7308 Williamsville Road, Milford, Delaware.
Every time you watch the Ravens game at the original Green Turtle in North Ocean City, you get a chance to win up to 3 pairs of game tickets. The original Green Turtle presents Ravens football on WGMD's 92.7, a Delmarva Ravens affiliate.
Broadcasting from the Lincicome Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Our country was built on cheap energy. Today, energy is not cheap, and we face the prospect that some forms of energy may soon not be available at all. Now, last summer, you probably spent hours sitting in gasoline lines. This winter, some will be without heat, and everyone will be paying much more simply to keep home and family warm. If you ever had any doubt of the government's inability to provide for the needs of the people, just look at the utter fiasco we now call the energy crisis. Not one straight answer, nor any realistic hope of relief, has come from the present administration in almost 3 years of federal treatment of the problem. As gas lines grew, the administration again panicked and now has proposed to put the country on a wartime footing. But for this war, there's no victory in sight.
The last time we faced an energy crisis, a political energy crisis, was 1980. And if you remember, President Reagan got together with the Congress and they rolled back all of the regulations that had been slapped on the oil companies, which did not encourage exploration. It did not help to increase supply, and prices went up. Government does not ever help situations like that. That was President Reagan saying what we all know, and that is this country needs cheap, reliable energy sources, and the Democrat communists are out to deprive us of those. Our guest, and we're very pleased to have him with us, Frank Lassie, author of Climate Energy Lies, Expensive, Dangerous, and Destructive. Also, another panelist, Daniel Turner, had an emergency this morning, I'm told, was not able to join us. We certainly hope nothing is serious. He wanted to join us in the 11 o'clock hour, but we don't have the time. We have other things scheduled. You heard President Reagan's words. He was talking to voters in 1980. President Trump is speaking the same language today. Drill, baby, drill. But the enemies that we have in the EPA today, the Department of Energy, Frank, were not around in 1979 and 1980. They are today, and they're going to do everything possible to prevent the Keystone Pipeline, to prevent fracking. We know that even though Kamala may lose 24 days from today, there is a cabal inside the great Satan in Washington that is going to fight against drill, drill, drill. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And going back to the earlier segment by President Carter, who predicted by now we'd run out of oil, there are hundreds, if not 500 or 1,000 years of oil in the earth. We're finding more all the time, all over the world.
And what about, Frank, what about the largest supplies of natural gas in the ground in Pennsylvania that have been untapped?
It's right here in America. We have a tremendous amount of natural gas. There's a huge reservoir of natural gas underneath one that we're currently harvesting from. So it's a virtually supply of gas. We can export more of it to LNG, so the Europeans wouldn't have to import it from Russia, helping their economy, not ours.
Right.
We need to expand it. We have a pipeline. Pipeline through blocking them, cut down, building more LNG exports. Exports for billions of dollars of economic activity, both in the building and downstream. They're doing more expensive for everyone. And it's exactly the opposite of what we Trump understood. When prices go up, everything goes up in price because everything we get, food we get, everything needs.
Yeah, Frank, we're having a little difficulty with your audio. You're breaking up. The video's good, but unfortunately your audio's breaking up. Maybe we'll just give it a minute there to catch up. Let me just throw this question out, and you can answer this question from our panelist, from our producer Bob and Lewes, who says scientists funded by the feds support climate and energy lies, the biggest Marxist threat ever. How can true scientists like me, and Bob, I happen to know is a scientist, help you stop the big climate lies of the left? I'll let you answer that. Go ahead, please, Frank. All right, Frank, I'm sorry. We're having difficulty with your audio. We're going to have to, unfortunately, end it right there, sadly. There's an audio issue. I apologize, but it's unfortunately we're not even able to even pull a word or two out there. But Frank, thank you so much again, Frank Lassie, author of Climate and Energy Lies: Expensive, Dangerous, and Destructive. If you can take one thing from this segment, my friends, it is this: that the United States government And the Biden regime, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, took our tax dollars and laundered them to fund a secretive government agency that was undermining United States law to impose climate restrictions on us with someone who was never appointed and confirmed by the Senate. His name is John Kerry. He was working with others across the world, the globalists, who want to destroy our economy, who want to destroy our energy sector, and that's exactly why this was done. Who's going to pay for what they've done and give us our money back that has been stolen from us by a shadow government agency? That needs to be answered. Frank Lassie, Frank, thanks so much. I'm sorry that we couldn't do this go any further with this because of this audio issue, but I appreciate you being on with us this morning. You're listening to Your News Talk America. We'll have more of our program, Digital Interactive. We'll get to some of the conversation in the chat room, a couple of more questions as well. So stay tuned to Your News Talk America, your home for truth, liberty, and freedom.
Worcester County Chamber of Commerce and Ocean Pines invites Eastern Shore Middle School students to test their civics knowledge and compete for the national title in the 2025 National Civics Bee. Students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades from public, private, charter, and homeschool are invited to take part in the first-round civics essay competition. The Worcester County Chamber of Commerce and Ocean Pines will host the local competition in the spring of 2025. The application to enter opens this fall. For more information, go to the community calendar under the Extras tab at thetalkofdelmarva.com.
Ron Ananian is the car doctor, and he learned his craft from his father. He'll help you find the best treatment for your car's little hiccups, and the big ones, too. Saturdays, 6 to 8 p.m. on the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7 WGMD.
I'm sorry about the audio issue. I know that you're wondering, why that happens. It happens to Fox and Newsmax, too. It doesn't just happen to us. It does happen. Unfortunately, this technology is bringing people directly into your homes from their homes, usually, or their offices, or some other location. And sometimes the technology just doesn't work right. And that was the case. Now, as far as Daniel Turner's concerned, sorry, I couldn't get him on. Daniel's usually very reliable, which was surprising. That he wasn't here. He wanted to come on 11, but we just can't, unfortunately. There's a question from Big Cat that's been sent over, and it's a good one. And this is for Frank, but I'm going to answer it if you don't mind, Big Cat. Today's youth has been brainwashed to believe the climate hoax. It starts in elementary school all the way through college. What can be done to change this? School board elections. That's what can be done. And I know Gregory Wrightstone, who lives in Florida and was dealing with the Hurricane Milton over the past couple of days. I would have had Gregory on as well today. He's dealing with his issues. But the fact is that we don't control our own school districts anymore. Yes, are our kids being bombarded with this climate nonsense? They are. And your tax dollars are paying for it. But when we talk about school board meetings and getting involved in the curriculum and so forth, it's something that's just not on the minds of most Americans. Parents say, I'm too busy, I can't do this, I can't. Well then, you know what? If you don't pay attention, your kids are going to be indoctrinated into this, and that's what's happening. And I have to say, from a personal standpoint, if you got your kids in public school and you can homeschool them, get them out and homeschool them, because they are being they have been dodged by this climate crisis. I know that Colonel Williams, aka Dr. Tiny, who's in the chat room, community chat right now, she was confronted by a young person just a few months ago. She told me who thought that the climate was going to kill us all. I mean, really. And every time the wind blows, the climate hoaxers, the climate alarmists tell us it's climate change. I mean, it's the Tom Carpers of the world, who's the senior senator from the socialist state of Delaware. We call him the Reverend Carper here because he's the Pope of the Church of Climate Change. To these people, climate is a religion. They worship climate. They worship at the Church of Climate. Robert in Felton asks, and this question was just forwarded over. Good morning, Jake. With Election Day coming up, I was wondering what your thoughts are on the potential fallout in our country immediately following the final results, especially if Trump wins. Communists are sore losers. Well, we already know that an Afghan national that we welcomed into this country, thanks to the Biden regime, was planning a terrorist attack on Election Day. There have been other warning signs as well. Is Election Day going to be unstable in this country? I would say there's probably a really good chance of that, Robert. Yes, I agree. It is, because that's how Demcoms, that's how communists operate. Fear. Remember when Obama was running for office the first time and the Black Panthers showed up outside a polling location? That was really, I think, an indicator of where this country was going. Voter intimidation. And it's here. It's worse. It's so much worse today. But what's going to happen between now and then? And what if we all know that Trump won? And as Commander Gregory Stenstrom has said on this program numerous times, that they're just going to put their hands up and say, hey, we win, we won, Kamala's the new president. What happens then? What happens inside our country? How do we respond? Bob and Lewes says local school boards are a big problem in Delaware. They are all leftist communists. Well, if that's the case, Bob, then why do we see so many school board members go unchallenged? Every couple of years they come up for re-election because people don't run against them, so they automatically get returned to office. Dr. Tiny says that Convention of States hosted a town hall last night in Dover at the American Legion Post 2. Education was a huge topic. Yeah, our kids are being indoctrinated. And the climate hoax is part of it. They're being told that if their parents have a gas stove, they're destroying the world. Their parents, they're being told that if they don't drive an EV, that they're destroying the climate. The only way to control that, my friends, is to get control of public schools. And right now, that's not happening. And a lot of it's coming out of the Department of Education in Washington, of which, as you know, President Trump has promised to get rid of. Another Jimmy Carter gift to the United States was the Department of Education. All it is, really, is a way for the great Satan in Washington to bring their ills to every school district in America. But I didn't quite have the panel that I would have preferred for this segment, but we did get a lot covered. And just remember, John Kerry was in charge of a shadow government agency that we were paying for to finagle his climate schemes with the globalists in Davos behind our backs. John Kerry should be brought to justice.
WGMD Rehoboth Beach and 98.5 WUSX Seaford.
Dealing with Milton's aftermath in Florida. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Not an easy cleanup for some in the Tampa area.
The ground's just saturated, and they're just falling and taking anything in the way. Fences, power lines. There's a large tree laying across one of the off-ramps off the parkway.
In Sarasota, City Commissioner Eric Arroyo just told Fox,
we don't have power right now, and much of the county has very limited access to water because of the water infrastructure.
Sarasota's where the hurricane first hit on Wednesday.
The boatyards are completely messed up. There's limited access to the barrier islands. We have some bridges that have structural damage.
There's also Tornado devastation being cleaned up in other parts of Florida, and flooding. Milton blamed for at least 17 deaths. There are still water rescues going on. The number of people killed in Hurricane Helene's devastation now tops 250 weeks after it hit, doing damage all the way up to North Carolina, where floods ravaged mountain communities like in Watauga County, where this man tells Fox many businesses are damaged and closed.
A lot of the workers who live paycheck to paycheck, I mean, it's devastating. What are they going to do? How are they going to eat? How are they going to, what are they going to do to survive?
Israel keeps bombarding Lebanon, where the army says 2 Lebanese soldiers were killed in an airstrike on a checkpoint. Another strike injured 2 members of the UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon, while Hezbollah keeps firing into Israel, killing a farmer there. Israel also keeps waging war against Hamas militants in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. still trying to get more aid to all the Palestinian civilians displaced.
I have real concern about the inadequacy of the assistance that's getting to them.
There were tears of joy in Japan today, where the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to a group of survivors of the 2 U.S. atomic bombings that ended World War II. Their organization, Nihon Dankyo, has been outspoken against nuclear weapons. America's listening to Fox News.
You know, I'm a gun guy, Second Amendment guy, and I want to tell you about a family-owned company that I just love. It's Henry Repeating Arms. Now, they make more than 200 models of rifles, shotguns, revolvers right here in America. The quality's so good, they have a lifetime guarantee. The craftsmanship and smooth action, they are top-notch. I speak from experience. Every Henry I own, accurate right out of the box. They've all been reliable ever since. The best way to learn about Henry, get their free catalog. They'll send you free decals and a list of dealers where you are and a great newsletter. Just go to henryusa.com. That's one word, henryusa.com. Click on the free catalog button. It's in the upper right-hand corner. And they even donate to our military and veterans and law enforcement and first responders, children's hospitals, families with sick kids. They do it all. And also Guns for Great Causes programs. Anyway, go to henryusa.com, get your free catalog, free decals, and a list of dealers where you are. Henry USA.
Delmarva's home for local news, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva.
This WGMD News Report is locally brought to you by the Cottage Cafe. Open daily at 11 a.m. Find the menu, specials, and fun event details at cottagecafe.com.
I'm Sherry Lademan in the Talk of Delmarva newsroom. The Maryland Environmental Appeals Board is planning a hearing next week to consider an appeal of DENREC's approval to permits for a landfall connection for the U.S. Wind Offshore project in Bethany Beach. Bethany property owner Edward Bentz contends the approval failed to take into account the possible effects from the substation. The hearing is October 22nd over. Governor Wes Moore visiting Salisbury on Thursday to help break ground for the $60 million renovation of Blackwell Hall to create a new student services center. The governor says the project is important for the school's future.
And this building is more than just infrastructure. It's more than steel and concrete. It's the realization of a hope.
The building features an environmentally friendly design, including use of geothermal fields underneath and solar panels above to make it one of the first net zero emissions building in the University of Maryland system. Work should be done by the start of the 2026 school year. Blackwell Hall was the school library from 1957 to 2016. Dorchester County is getting some federal money to help dredge channels in Chesapeake Bay. County leaders say the money is for the second phase of the Mid-Chesapeake Bay and Island Restoration Project. Senator Chris Van Hollen says the project is good for the bay and for those who depend on it for a living. He says it will give watermen easier access to the bay and make shipping into and out of the Port of Baltimore safer. It will take decades to complete the job.
WGMD AccuWeather.
Kind of Friday, you'll want to soak in today with the high 68 under sunny skies. Friday night, clear, low 49, inland 54 at the beach. Sunny much of the time Saturday. Another pleasant day, breezy in the afternoon. Start to the weekend with the high 77. Today's marine forecast winds from the north at 8 to 16 knots with seas 2 to 4 feet. More of these and other stories, visit talkofdelmarva.com.
Karaoke night every Saturday at Cottage Cafe. Looking for something fun to do? Stop into the Cottage Cafe every Saturday for late night karaoke. Every Saturday from 9 p.m. to midnight, enjoy karaoke in the dining room, along with food and drink specials. Come by with friends, enjoy some drinks, snacks, and showcase your vocal talents. The Cottage Cafe, located on Route 1 in Bethany Beach, with karaoke every Saturday from 9 p.m. to midnight.
It's time for the 92.7 and 98.5 Talk of Delmarva Sports Report.
Hey, good morning, NFL Thursday Night Football, the kickoff to week number 6. The Seattle Seahawks hosting the San Francisco 49ers at an NFC West divisional showdown. And the Niners on the road looking to make a statement.
Giving it his own personality. Birdie dancing wide open, making the grab. Samuel, the tackle is missed. Debo off in the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. 76 yards.
Al Michaels, courtesy of Amazon Prime Sports, of the San Francisco 49ers. They defeat the Seattle Seahawks 36-24 the final. Quarterback Brock Purdy for the Niners, 255 yards in the air and 3 touchdown passes. Seattle quarterback Geno Smith, a pair of interceptions, and Seattle rushed for just 52 yards in the game, where San Francisco had 228 on the ground. To high school action in the first state of the downstate teams in action, Indian River defeated Brandywine on the road 23-7. They improved to 5-1 on the season. Sussex Tech shut out Concord 41-0 to move to 5-1 on the year. Sussex Tech up 27-0 at the end of the first half in that one, their biggest blowout win of the season. At Maryland's Bayside Conference, James M. Bennett down 21-6 at the half, came back to win 27-21 over North Carolina at home last night at County Stadium in Salisbury to improve to 3-3 on the season. North Carolina remains winless at 0-6. To Major League Baseball we go at American League Divisional Series playoff action that took place yesterday. And of the local teams, well, the Yankees in Kansas City taking on the Royals, looking to close out the series, and this one would be the difference in the game.
Line drive to right, that's going to drop for a base hit. Torres comes through. Verdugo trots home. Birdie sprints to third. 2-0 Yanks.
What a series Torres has had so far. Remember, in Game 1, he hit that home run off Walker, and now another big hit to drive in a run here in the 5th.
Doubled and scored in the first.
And that's Bob Costas and Ron Darling, courtesy of Turner Sports. The Yankees win 3-1 as Gleyber Torres' RBI single in the 5th ended up being the difference in the game. Starting pitcher Garrett Cole, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 6 hits, and 4 strikeouts. So they advance to the American League Championship Series. They'll await the winner of the Detroit-Cleveland Series, as Cleveland wins yesterday by a score of 5-4. So they even that series at 2 games apiece. Mike Bradley, 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD Sports.
Broadcasting from the Lincicome Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Here are John Chancellor and Tom Brokaw.
Hello once again, and just to bring you up to date, NBC News has projected that Republican Ronald Reagan will be elected President of the United States over President Jimmy Carter. Let us show you the map now and show you why we are able to make that projection. As you can see, blue for Ronald Reagan, and there's a good deal more of that than there is red for Jimmy Carter. In fact, Jimmy Carter only has his home state of Georgia and the District of Columbia. The rest of the map, as reporting in so far, belongs to Ronald Reagan, and that includes the key battleground states, as we were calling them, of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, all of those states that were going to be critical. That includes Texas as well. Ronald Reagan taking big chunks, knocking the props out from under Jimmy Carter's so-called southern base tonight.
That's the way it sounded, the 3rd of November, 1980. I remember that night like it was yesterday, sitting at the edge of my sofa and praying for the results that were eventually realized that night. And just think, that election was called, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 7:30, 8 o'clock on election night. How come we can't call? That was before the computers and databases and exit polling computers and all that kind of stuff. Why were we able to call elections that back in 1980 so quickly, and we can't do that today? Isn't that very interesting? But I remember that night, and up until Election Day, The polling information, and I know that there's a question from Bob and Lewes with regard to the polls right now. And remember, my position on polling is all about trends this time at this point in the election cycle, and the trends are clearly with Donald Trump right now. They're clearly with Donald Trump. Internal polling, that's something different. Now, I haven't gotten any internal polling from the Trump campaign recently. But I'm sure based on how the Harris campaign is responding, getting her out there and to do the 60 Minutes interview and a bunch of softball sit-downs, that they're concerned about what they have seen with their internal polling, which is probably more accurate. They don't oversample their own. They look at Democrat voters, and they look at the true reflection of what the polling says, because that's why they have to structure their campaign, where to go, what to do, who to talk to, what to say, what talking points are getting people's attention. It's unfortunately right now what you have with regard to the polling information that we're seeing is that the battleground states appear to be going to Donald Trump. And the fact is that we have a situation now that Donald Trump appears to be gaining momentum. Now, I'm going to take a quick break to find out where Jeffrey Lord is, and hopefully one guest will at least show up on time today, or panelist. Your News Talk America. We'll be right back in just a moment.
This weather report is brought to you by Kelly's Outdoors, now stocked with new firearms. The locals' favorite outdoor superstore. Kelly's Outdoors in Millsboro.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 69. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows level out for around 49. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 77. High temperatures reach up to 79 Sunday under clear skies. 72 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Currently 57.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Did you know every 3 seconds someone is a victim of identity theft? LifeLock wants to give you helpful tips to protect your identity this Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Adding multi-factor authentication, like a text with a security code, is one way to boost your security. But for comprehensive protection, trust LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal info and steps in to resolve issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Protect yourself with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Enjoy another week of fun-filled events in Worcester County, including Harbor Day at the Docks this Saturday, October the 12th. Hi there, it's Mike Bradley on behalf of the Office of Worcester County Tourism. Celebrate Worcester's maritime heritage and culture. The free event taking place from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday at the West Ocean City Commercial Fishing Harbor. Live music by record label artist Jimmy Charles, kids activities, artists and vendors, and more. Also taking place this Saturday, the Pocomoke Fall Festival. For more information, go to visitmarylandscoast.org. The leaves are falling. It's time to start calling for yard cleanup by Complete Tree Care.
We are the complete answer to all your lawn and tree care needs. Hi, this is Toby with Complete Tree Care and Complete Lawn Care. With one call, you'll get 2 teams for all your lawn care, mowing, landscaping, and tree care needs, creating one happy customer. Give us a call at Complete Tree Care and Complete Lawn Care, 302-947-2273.
302-947-2273. Wow!
Hi, Dr. Michelle Parsons here. Here at Rehoboth Medical Spa, we have been treating our patients with a new class of medications for weight loss, including Saxenda, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. All of these prescription medications have been extremely effective at curbing appetite and helping our patients easily lose pounds that they have not been able to lose before at affordable prices. We make it easy for you to lose weight and improve your health. Book your free consultation today at 302-227-1079. Rehoboth Medical Spa, where the doctor is the difference.
Rehoboth. Views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and not necessarily the staff, management, ownership, advertisers, or sponsors of WGMD. Every time you watch the Ravens game at the original Green Turtle in North Ocean City, you get a chance to win up to 3 pairs of game tickets. The original Green Turtle presents Ravens football on WGMD's 92.7, a Delmarva Ravens affiliate. Delmarva's Choice, WGMD.
Talk America on 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva.
Donald Trump is going to win by a lot. He'll carry all of the swing states and some others besides. He'll win the popular vote, first Republican to do so since George W. Bush in 2004. It'll be an electoral landslide. The early signs are clear. The New York Times Siena poll shows that Trump has gone from a 5-point deficit to a 4-point lead in Georgia. It has him going from a 4-point Harris lead to a 5-point Trump margin in Arizona. The Times reports that Michigan and Wisconsin, where Harris had September leads of 4-5 in each state, are now dead-even toss-ups, and Pennsylvania still dead-even can't be far behind. Kamala Harris will be remembered in history as the least competent Democratic candidate for president in 100 years, since Davis in 1924. Plucked from the Democratic bench when Biden's inability to function became impossible to ignore, she's matched against a veteran performer and the best Republican president since Reagan. She's not even vaguely up to the task. Her front-runner strategy of ducking interviews and press conferences, forced on her by her handlers by their candidates' inability to handle questions, stands in sharp contrast to Trump, who practically devours any camera he sees.
That's Dick Morris from his program last Saturday on Newsmax, my friends. And this prediction of Dick Morris is getting a lot of play in the media, that he's predicting a Reagan-like landslide mandate, electoral landslide for Donald Trump in 24 days. Now, Jamie the Rascal Raskin is still crowing that he and a bunch of other Demcoms are going to refuse to certify the 2024 election if President Trump is successful. These are the kinds of tricks that the Demcoms are going to try. Now, remember, who is the president of the Senate? That's right. It's Kamala the Commie. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be well, let's put it this way. The next 24 days, my friends, maybe longer, because the Demcoms certainly will try court challenges to elections and so forth. We know that. Now, my phone was buzzing. I have it on silent, but it was buzzing while I was talking with you a few moments ago, and I glanced over to see who it was. It was Jeffrey Lord. Now, Jeffrey apologized. He forgot to notify me that he had been summoned to this meeting with Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry. Jeffrey is very close with Scott Perry, and Scott needed him for something, and he had to drop everything that he was doing. He forgot to call me, which is okay. Jeffrey has always been available whenever I need him. However, I am going to drink adult beverages when I get home from this show. It's been that kind of a difficult broadcast today, but we've gotten it done. Jeffrey's on his way home. We'll sign on and log on, but I'm not sure we're going to have enough time. We'll just have to take it as it comes. And if Jeffrey's gets home soon enough and can log on, I can get him on for a couple of minutes. Great. But I would like to get to Bob from Lewes, Delaware's question, which was directed to Jeffrey, but I'm going to answer it if you don't mind, Bob. And that is, with Trump's lead over Harris growing, and again, remember, it's all about trends. Trump's polling, even in battleground states, is going upward. Don't concern yourself, well, Harris is still 2 points ahead of Trump nationally. Doesn't mean diddly squat. This election is an electoral college. Now, as Dick Morris said, he believes Trump is going to win the popular vote and the electoral college, dominate them both. But Bob says with Trump's lead over Harris growing, what is the danger that voters who hate Harris but sadly don't like Trump won't vote at all? Trump himself says, vote like I am behind, vote, 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 fight, fight, fight. Yes, it's true. The best thing I believe that Trump can do for the next 24 days, Bob, even though early voting is already going in, there's already people who have voted for Kamala the Commie, let's face it, is to just push that Ronald Reagan line. I'm going to play it right now. So I'm going to just switch over here to this computer, and here it is. Bob, this is what he has to say. Keep pounding away this point for all those who haven't yet voted.
Next Tuesday, all of you will go to the polls. You'll stand there in the polling place and make a decision. I think when you make that decision, it might be well if you would ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is it easier for you to go and buy things in the stores than it was 4 years ago? Is there more or less unemployment in the country than there was 4 years ago? Is America as respected throughout the world as it was? Do you feel that our security is as safe, that we're as strong as we were 4 years ago? And if you answer all of those questions yes, why then I think your choice is very obvious as to who you'll vote for. If you don't agree, if you don't think that this course that we've been on for the last 4 years is what you would like to see us follow for the next 4, then I could suggest another choice that you have.
My friends, President Reagan speaking to us today. I mean, that was 1980. That was just a few days. That was October 28th, 1980, if my memory serves me. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning, but long term, that was the date. I think it was October 28th, 1980. But that's what Trump needs to keep doing, pounding on that point. And the fact is that there are people who just refuse to accept Donald Trump for what he is. And they've drank the Kool-Aid, they have bought into the propaganda, and they're not going to vote for him. They don't care about the country. They care about the government taking care of them. And that's what's been created in this country. But remember, I said the American spirit, 24 days from today, is going to win out. Now, Big Cat says Jeffrey Lord is one of the best guests of the show. I agree. He gets a pass. He does. And I've had situations where I needed a guest because someone didn't show up. They canceled. Jeffrey was right there and came on. So he gets a pass. I love him. He's such a nice man. Bob and Lewes, Jake, I love the Reagan clip. Perfect answer to my question. Thanks. Back to breakfast. Enjoy your breakfast, Bob and Lewes. But there you go. And there are going to be people who might just stay home. Remember, the younger crowd, the younger generation, are typically not as reliable to vote. They've got other things to do, more important things to do. And Harris is in deep trouble because she has projected herself to be, just over the last week with 2 hurricanes, exactly what we know her to be. And that is a bad candidate. The worst, as Dick Morris said, the worst Democrat presidential candidate in maybe 100 years. That's whom she is. That's who she is. All right, I'm getting a message from the control room, so let me check and see what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? We can do that. Our next guest, our next guest is going, our panelist is going to talk about illegal immigration, but I'd like to get the political slant on that. Remember, the two biggest points with voters, all voters, is the economy and illegal immigration. So if those are your 2 issues, who are you voting for in 24 days, right? Who are you voting for? That question is easily answered. So again, Colonel Williams says Kamala, a fraud and a phony. That is true. And that's what she pulled, trying to prop herself up as someone who was relevant during 2 deadly hurricanes, my friends. If that doesn't tell you the kind of person and candidate that Kamala Harris is, she's no different than the one that was sleeping around to get where she wanted to get a job and get set up in public life. And that's what Willie Brown did for her. She's no different today. Absolutely no different. And remember, she married a guy who impregnated the babysitter from his first marriage and then was basically manhandling his other girlfriend. I mean, this guy is just, Emhoff is a bad guy. And yesterday, I don't know if you saw that Dougie Emhoff and Tampon Tim went to some coffee shop, and they ordered coffee and some sweets, and they got their food and walked away without paying. And the person at the cashier standing there, these people feel so privileged. They don't have to pay. They can kick anybody out of a restaurant they want. So they walked away. And the cashier standing there and said, somebody has to pay. So someone from the campaign ran up. Oh, we'll give you a credit card and pay for it. But their attitude was that we don't need to pay. And Kamala the commie thinks the same way. She keeps propping herself up as middle-class Kamala when she thinks of us as nothing but a bunch of Kmart shoppers. May Kmart rest in peace. That's what she thinks, or Walmart shoppers. That's it. They think they are better than us. Not only think, they act like they are better than us. And as I mentioned in the monologue this morning, if you missed it in the first hour, she couldn't even keep a staff in the vice president's office. They kept resigning one after the other. The office of the vice president is empty, like a building in the Gaza Strip. You weren't, if you worked for Kamala, you weren't allowed to look at her or look her in the eye. If you did, you're out. That's the kind of work environment that she created. She couldn't keep employees in the vice president's office. What makes you think she's not going to treat every American the same way if she takes the oath of office on January 20th? Right? I mean, they think that we're garbage. And the fact that she wouldn't even cut her campaign schedule for the people in Asheville and other places. She's drinking beers, basically flipping the rest of the country the bird. She's out in California campaigning. President Trump is down there helping out. President Trump is in Florida helping to coordinate utility companies to help people who have lost power in Florida. And she's got the audacity to try to sit there in front of a camera on the Weather Channel feed and to post an interview on X with the mayor of St. Petersburg saying, "Oh, you're so joyful." I mean, again, my friends, this is the election of this nation's the most important election in this nation's history. We've been saying that. It obviously is, not only because of issues, but because of the personalities. One loves America, one puts America first, and the other one hates America and puts America last. The other one is fine with sending our tax dollars to Lebanon, but going down to North Carolina and saying, we'll just give you $750 and just get away, go away, stop bothering us. That's it, isn't it? So we're going to talk about illegal immigration. And here's the point that I want to bring up today with respect to illegal immigration, if I may. There have been reports, I've had them on this show. Over the past 2 years, the Biden regime has been flying illegals all over the country to various places in airports in the middle of the night. Why were they doing that? So we couldn't track them. We didn't even know who were being flown. There were people being flown on commercial jets, commercial airliners. This is all, of course, at taxpayer expense. But you or I, if we went to BWI Airport or JFK Airport or LaGuardia or Chicago O'Hare and you had to step over the illegals who were sleeping in the airport and you went up to security to get your flight, you're not getting through security without showing a government ID. Well, guess what? the Biden regime was putting illegals on commercial flights without a government ID. No ID at all. So I guess the 9/11 Commission report didn't mean anything? We're going to talk about this topic next on your News Talk America Digital Interactive. And why not join into Dial? Digital Interactive Audio, Digital Interactive, it's been that kind of a morning, folks. Digital Interactive Audience Lounge, realnewstalk.com. Get involved. The people, producers in the community are waiting for you now.
The marine forecast from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center. Sunny for today with highs heading into the upper 60s. And on the water, north-northwest winds 5 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. The current water temperature is 64 degrees. At Cambridge, high tides at 10:34 a.m., low tide 5:08 p.m., high tide again at 11:33 p.m., and at Rehoboth Beach, low tide 8:15 a.m., high tide 2:57 p.m., and low tide again at 9:24 p.m.
Welcome to the Delmarva Peninsula, and thanks for listening to 92.7 and 98.5. The Talk of Delmarva.
This WGMD Fox Business Update is brought to you by Sussex Environmental Consultants. For a healthy home, call 302-947-1810.
I'm Lauren Simonetti, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Dow and S&P both rose to record territory in early trading today, helped by upbeat earnings for J.P. Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo. Both stocks are up around 5%. Consumer sentiment cooled this month. The University of Michigan's preliminary reading for October came in at 68.9. Economists were anticipating a reading over 70. The cost of things at the wholesale level, the producer price index was flat in September from August. However, on an annual basis, the PPI rose 1.8%, and excluding food and energy, prices for the year were up 2.8%. Volkswagen says it delivered fewer cars in the summer quarter. It's dealing with competition from local car companies in China and steep discounts from those car makers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Priscilla. Invested in you.
Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. I never thought I'd see price fixing as a campaign promise. What's next? Is your 401k or IRA on the left's to-do list? This is why you need to act now and protect your nest egg. I believe gold is the answer. To find out more, get a free info kit from Birch Gold by texting the word SHELTER to the number 989898. Act now to secure your financial future. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold. Paid for by
Dare Center Studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
My friends, if there's any guest who gets a pass on this show for being a little late, it's our next guest, Jeffrey Lord. Jeffrey, if there's anyone that gets a pass, it's you. You have always been so wonderful. And I know I texted you yesterday. I saw on the Newsmax crawl that there's some concern about Scott Perry's reelection. And I sent you a text. And Scott Perry, the very conservative, he's not uniparty. He is a reputable, reliable conservative. And I know that you had to scram this morning for a Scott Perry event. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. I've done 2 Scott Perry events in the last couple days. Okay. This one featured House Speaker Mike Johnson as his guest.
Okay.
Who gave sort of an overview of House Republicans and what they're working on, and in particular, what they're trying to do to keep the majority, and what they would do with that majority kept come January. Okay. And it was very interesting to learn. I mean, there's no question that they are about planning in some detail what they would do from day one if they win the House and that Donald Trump is sitting in the White House again.
Because in January of 2017, the Republican-led House, which wasn't at that time Paul Ryan, they weren't They weren't prepared for Donald Trump. They didn't expect him to win the election, and they were flat-footed. They did not have legislation waiting for him to sign on January 20th, right?
That is exactly right. And, in the long ago and far away, my first job in Washington was working for a Pennsylvania congressman, Bud Schuster by name.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I spent 4 years with him, working my way up from press secretary to legislative director and then his House Budget Committee staffer. And if I learned anything, it is that you've got to have planning for this kind of thing. This is one of the reasons that made, in my opinion, Newt Gingrich such a great Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Because he knew what he wanted to accomplish from the moment he was sworn in as Speaker, and accomplish it. They did. They got the
Contract for America.
Contract for America.
Right.
Were quite specific with it. It was published for all to see. That's the kind of thing that you've got to do here. And it became clear to me this morning that Mike Johnson is on top of it.
Our guest, Jeffrey Lord, former advisor to President Reagan. I was playing some of President Reagan's cuts earlier, audio cuts, Jeffrey, before you came on. Associate editor of the American Spectator, frequent contributor for Newsmax, the host of Word of the Lord podcast, and a very good friend to this radio program and to me. Jeffrey, I've been asked, what does President Trump need to do now in the next 24 days? And I played the cut from October 28th, 1980. I know you remember it as I do. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? That's what Trump needs to do. He needs to keep hitting that point. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And, since, these national polls always drive me crazy. I don't care what they say.
Right.
We don't elect presidents that way. We elect presidents state by state with the Electoral College.
Right.
And in my case here, Pennsylvania has 19 electoral votes, and President Trump has been here repeatedly. Yesterday, I think it was, he was in both Reading and Scranton.
Scranton, yep.
And he is, I'm sure, going to be here some more before the bell rings on all of this. The Democrats get the message. President Obama was out in Pittsburgh. President Biden was in Philadelphia. So, the game is on. Everybody knows what the rules are, and we're out there working it. And that's why I was pleased to go to these last two Scott Perry events, but particularly the one today that featured Speaker Johnson as sort of the centerpiece attraction there. And, to hear him lay out that they are indeed going to be planned and ready to go, assuming President Trump wins the White House and the House stays in the hands of Republicans.
Jeffrey, I noted today President Trump is in Aurora, Colorado, and we all remember last month that video of that Venezuelan gang taking control of an apartment complex where American citizens lived. Today, he's in Aurora, Colorado. People are lined up for miles and miles and miles. That was good thinking by the campaign. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I don't think is noted as much as it should, the contrast between the Trump and Harris campaigns. And I'm not talking about the candidates themselves at this point, although that contrast is very real. I'm talking about their organizational ability. Yep. Their understanding of how to run a serious presidential campaign. The Trump people are very, very experienced at this, and so is their candidate, very experienced at this. The Harris campaign, not so much. And you can see when they send her out there and she's not sure of what she's supposed to say and all of this kind of thing. Where they're sending her, there's all sorts of things that go into running a successful presidential campaign. And I just think the Harris campaign is really at a disadvantage here. And the Trump campaign and their staff and all the people working on it get it.
Dick Morris has said, he said on his program on Newsmax last Saturday, that he believes that President Trump is going to experience the same type of night on November 5th that President Reagan experienced November 3rd, 1980. Jeffrey, we both remember that night very clearly.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. In that 1980 election, when it began, Republican prospects were seen as not so good.
Right.
So what happened was you had all of these Republican state parties all around the country trying to get their, as I'll call them, A-list candidates for the United States Senate to run, and they balked. They didn't want to do it. They thought they'd lose. They thought it would damage their career, et cetera. So the state parties were reduced to getting the, as it were, B and C list candidates. Then Ronald Reagan came along with his landslide, and the morning after that election, all those B and C candidates were United States senators elect.
Yep.
And Republicans controlled the U.S. Senate for the first time since 1954.
Yep.
It was an amazing thing. And I think we could be on the verge, as Dick says, of a landslide like that. Now, I'm always hesitant. I think you always have to be careful about this and don't get ahead of yourself here. But do I think that Dick is quite possibly right about that? Yes. One of my sort of measurements is the ground campaign. When I drive around Pennsylvania, I see Trump signs everywhere. Not so with Harris signs. I see some, but nowhere close to the amount of Trump signs. So to the extent that tells us anything, that's interesting.
Jeffrey, I don't want to keep you anymore. I know you've had a rough morning so far, and you were nice enough to rush home and get on your computer and come on with us. But thank you. It just seems that the trending, and I'm always into trending in polls. I don't like looking at poll numbers per se at this point. The trending, especially in battleground states, appears at this point to be on President Trump's side. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And, not for nothing, events happen.
Right.
One of the things, who could foresee this? But you have this horrendous hurricane situation down there in Florida. And Trump, private citizen that he is one of the first to spring into action and to help out, send in trucks with gas and, all of that kind of thing. Meanwhile, the Biden administration and Kamala Harris are sort of fumbling their way through it, incurring the wrath of Governor DeSantis. I think President Biden finally got the word and is in direct contact with Governor DeSantis. But
quickly, let me ask you, Jeffrey, what did you think? DeSantis, did he do damage to the Harris campaign yesterday when he went after her, saying she's not relevant? Why is she? Did he damage her? Do you think yesterday?
Yeah, because I think that overall, that's part of her image problem, is that she's not included and she's not very effective and she doesn't know what she's doing. Here comes a very, very hands-on practical situation, and that's the verdict from the governor.
Jeffrey Lord, thank you very much, my friends. Check the Word of the Lord podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. Are you on Newsmax today or tomorrow, Jeffrey?
So far, no. I'm booked for Monday, that I know. And I'll be taping my podcast in about 5 minutes.
All right. I know what you're going to be talking about. You've got a lot to talk about. The Speaker of the House came to Pennsylvania today.
That's right. Although this time around, I'm going to be talking about our friend Ted Cruz.
Oh, okay.
They're zeroing in on him, and I think there's a reason for it, because he's very, very effective. So I want to make sure that I have my column in the American Spectator today is about Ted Cruz, and I'm going to touch on that in my podcast.
Jeffrey, thanks so much. God bless you, sir, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jeffrey.
All right. Thank you. You're listening to Your News Talk America. Salute the troops coming up in just a moment. Please stay with us.
This weather report is covered by Bell House Medical. Prevent a fall this fall. Call now to have grab bars installed in your bathroom. 302-644-4404.
Here's a look at your Delmarva forecast. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 69. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows level out around 49. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 77. High temperatures reach up to 79 Sunday under clear skies. 72 Monday. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Talk of Delmarva Weather Center, inland. Currently, it's 61 degrees.
Broadcasting from the Lincicome Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Unemployment
important message from Byram Healthcare. If you live with diabetes, you know how challenging and painful it can be to manage your blood sugar. Whether you have private insurance, traditional Medicare, or Medicaid, that can all change. If you inject insulin or have hypoglycemic events without insulin, you may qualify to receive at little or no cost, less copay and deductible, a continuous glucose monitor. It provides blood sugar readings with no uncomfortable finger sticks. It alerts you in real time to potential spikes and lows with your blood sugar levels. Byram Healthcare has been named Best Overall Diabetes Supply Company 4 years in a row by Very Well Health. We carry all major brands and will work with your insurance to get your CGM approved. If you have diabetes, call a U.S.-based Byram Healthcare specialist now. See if you qualify and end the finger stick.
Call 888-912-9434. 888-912-9434. That's 888-912-9434.
We served our country like those before us.
You know, it was a dangerous area. All of Vietnam was dangerous.
The carnage of war left an indelible mark on me.
We came back and built lives. As time went on, we faced new challenges and found support to handle them.
I went to the VA, talked to my doctor, and started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling.
At MakeTheConnection.net, you can hear our stories and find tools and services available to you.
This is Mark Schaefer, your Sussex County Councilman, appealing for your financial help to support our local fire and EMS departments. Our volunteer fire and EMS companies operate on donations. Your financial support is desperately needed and will be greatly appreciated. Please Google your local fire department and make a donation today. We need to support the wonderful men and women who volunteer their time to protect us. Please donate today. Thank you.
Are you a budding photographer? The Delaware Farm Bureau's 2024 annual photo contest is open to amateur photographers of all ages who have a passion for showcasing Delaware agriculture through their lens. Now through October 31st, submit your best agriculture-related photos online at the Delaware Farm Bureau website. Winners will be announced in December at the annual banquet. For more information, go to the community calendar under the Extras tab at thetalkofdelmarva.com.
Ron Ananian is the car doctor, and he learned his craft from his father. He'll help you find the best treatment for your car's little hiccups. And the big ones, too. Saturdays, 6 to 8 p.m. on the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7 WGMD.
Salute the Troops is safely brought to you by your local gun tender. Stuart Jones at Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply.
Salute the Troops honors the ultimate sacrifice of Sergeant First Class Michael J. Noble, a U.S. Army Green Beret, who died December 22, 2019, of injuries sustained during combat operations in Kunduz Province, Afghanistan, during Operation Freedom's Sentinel. Goebel was 33 years of age. He was a senior intelligence sergeant assigned to Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group, based out of Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. Goebel was killed in his third deployment to Afghanistan, in addition to deployments to Argentina, Guatemala, Colombia, and South Korea. Goebel was born on January 13, 1986, and raised in Westwood, New Jersey, according to the U.S. Army. He enlisted directly into the service as a Special Forces candidate in July 2004. After completing basic training and airborne school, Goebel attended and later graduated from Special Forces qualification course at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in February 2007. Goebel also deployed to Afghanistan in 07 and 08. During those deployments, he served as a weapons sergeant. Goebel then served as a sniper instructor from 2012 through 2016, before returning to 7th Group as an intelligence sergeant. Over the course of his career, Goebel attended a variety of Army schools, including Special Forces Sniper Course, Basic and Advanced Military Freefall Course, Basic and Advanced Military Freefall Course, Military Freefall Advanced Tactical Insertion Course, Joint Armorer Course, Special Forces Intelligence Sergeant Course, and Special Operations Force Surveillance Operator Course. His awards and decorations included the Bronze Star Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters, the Army Commendation Medal with Valor Device, the Valorous Unit Award, the Special Forces Tab, Combat Infantryman's Badge, Basic Airborne and Military Freefall Jumpmaster Badges. Salute the Troops honors the ultimate sacrifice of U.S. Army Green Beret Sergeant First Class Michael J. Goebel. If not for Sergeant Goebel's commitment to defend freedom and liberty during the War on Terror, this nation could not, this nation would never have remained free.
Delmarva Law Enforcement Supply welcomes all, not just law enforcement. Visit and sit with Stuart to find the perfect custom firearm, ammo, apparel, gun safes, hunting gear, accessories, or to browse and find the perfect WeatherTech gear. Serving and saluting Delmarva for almost 2 decades. You can find them on Iron Branch Road in Dagsboro. Open Monday through Saturday. Just look for the banner that says Guns. Support your local gun tender today.
Broadcasting from the Panelists Car Care Center studio. It's your News Talk America on 92.7 WGMD. The Talk of Delmarva.
Digital Interactive Friday. There are a bunch of questions that I want to get to on Dial. What is Dial? It's Digital Interactive Audience Lounge. They're posted. Eric's got a question. He's a producer. And it's posted the following question. Do you think the Republicans have done a better job this election cycle and getting out the word and voters? Yes, I do. I don't think it's even close, Eric. And one of the things that the Trump campaign has is something called rapid response. And as soon as the Harris campaign does something, or Kamala the Commie or Tampon Tin does something that needs to be immediately addressed by President Trump, boom, they're on it. They don't have anything like that. And you know what Jeffrey Lord, I think, was trying to say, not that I'm trying to put words in Jeffrey Lord's mouth, is that the Kamala the Commie campaign is really reflecting her. She's a nothing. She's not a legitimate candidate for public office, and neither is her campaign. It's like Ted Mack's Amateur Hour. I know I'm dating myself, but Ted Mack's Amateur Hour. That's it. All right, let's get to our next question on Dial, and let's see here. Several years ago, Delaware joined several adjacent states to send their electors to whomever won the majority nationwide, regardless of who wins in the individual state. Any information on this? Patricia, I do not have information on this. I know that there was an issue, and I'm trying to remember which state. I believe it was Nebraska, where that was being challenged. But as a matter, the governor, who is a Republican, didn't want to change what had been. So I don't have any information on that. My apologies. Pat was asking about additional questions. If you have something that's not up on the questions, you can always put it on chat. I can grab it there. Wolf in Georgetown, what is the estimated average deportation costs per illegal immigrant? Wolf, I can't answer that question. I don't think, first of all, we don't even know how many illegals are here. And on top of that, the blue states, blue communities, blue cities are not going to cooperate. They're not going to participate. They're going to double down with their sanctuary status, and their police who report to them and get paid, their checks get cut from them, will not be allowed to participate. I don't think we can provide an answer for that yet, Wolf. It's a great question, but is it going to cost billions? Well, of course, the federal government doesn't do anything unless it costs billions. But yes, can you imagine the manpower hours, law enforcement drain, the travel, hunting these people down, some of them violent gang members, murderers, rapists. My guess is, and I think President Trump has spoken to this, is they're going to have to prioritize who's they're going to go for. They're going to go first. I think some, if they know that the government's coming for them, will do what they did when Trump went to office, was elected the first time. They left on their own. I believe that's what's going to happen. A lot of them, we don't know how many, but some of them clearly, they don't want to live like that, and they'll just go back across the border on their own and go home to whatever country they came from. According to Raymond Arroyo last night on EWTN's World Over, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops receives half its annual revenue from the federal government to assist illegal immigration into the United States. Were you aware of this, and are you trying to stop it? I guess that was for IRA. IRA never signed on. I don't know what happened to IRA. I'm kind of surprised, Bob. Maybe what we'll do is, why don't we try to save that question? If we get IRA on next week, perhaps we can ask him that question. My apologies. Wolf follows up in community chat saying accurate dimensional analysis is essential to problem solving. Yes, but we don't know how big the threat is. I mean, the last time I looked at the numbers, there were I think about 14 million illegals, right, that came across the border, courtesy of the border czar Kamal the Hakami. How many of them were already here? How many of them were already here? And those numbers probably don't reflect those who have come across the northern border, which is porous as well right now. So it's that question is going to need to be addressed, Wolf. I agree with you 100%. But I think the best way to pay for this is to start eliminating federal government agencies. What do you think? One right after the other. Let's start with the Department of Education, the EPA, the Department of Homeland Security. Let's start eliminating these federal agencies and start paying for the things that we really need to pay for. And instead of sending money, our tax dollars, to Lebanon, where it's going to be stolen and siphoned off by Hezbollah, use that money to help rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. Does that sound too simplistic? Does it sound too simplistic? Again, I apologize that we had issues with guests not showing up today, my friends. It was almost like the perfect storm. In the case of putting the show together, and you can go to my show notes and you can see who's scheduled and the times and so forth, and what schedules that they have been laid into. They all have that information, and they all respond to me when they agree to come on a Digital Interactive Friday, that they'll be there. And then as a measure of security, Thursday afternoon, I reach out again, and I get them to confirm again, make sure they have the sign-in information for the video connection and all those kinds of things. So it was kind of like the perfect storm today. But as you see, and one of the things that Digital Interactive Friday gives you the option of seeing how a show is retooled as it is being broadcast, as this one is. As some things don't work out, you got to go to Plan B. As you saw, Jeffrey Lord didn't show up for his scheduled interview, but thanks to Jeffrey, he came on, and a little bit later on, we were able to get him on and discuss some political issues with him. And unfortunately, we just had a bunch of guests today that didn't show up. And I still don't know why, with the exception of Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, who had a family emergency this morning. So he wanted to come on at 11 o'clock. I probably could have had him on because Jeffrey wasn't there. But it was the kind of day that perhaps not a silver bullet martini, that the recipe that Roger Stone gave us from Richard Nixon yesterday. Maybe I'll go home and make myself a double silver bullet martini. And as far as the Mets are concerned, thank you, Big Cat. I didn't expect the Mets to be anywhere near where they are now. Yeah, they're the hottest team in baseball and have been since June, I think. But anything they give us at this point will be fine. I'm just glad they're in the postseason, and then I've got a little bit of a diversion right now. With that, thank you so much. Thank you to our producers who signed on to dial. Thank you for those in community chat. Remember, you have a voice. Make sure your voice is heard loud and clear. Have a great weekend. Millie, you're home.